There's so much fucking crazy girl behavior in these.
How do we stay friends and also roommates, friends who live together?
Do not apologize to me because you think I want to hear it.
I think I'm close to a an epiphany where like it all crystallizes and then I'm different. I really feel like
Cool.
I'm edging right now.
It's just not always like black and white, villain and victim kind of thing. Hello, welcome back. We're not for everyone. This is Caroline, your hater, and I'm here with Hessica, your lover. And
Wow.
today we're doing an episode of Am I the Hater? This is a riff on Am I the Asshole? And people sent us in their internal conundrums and things they did. And I'm going to say all of these are fucking crazy. And they've asked if we think they're the hater or not. There's so much fucking crazy girl behavior in these
I
Am
know.
I the Hater submissions.
I know. It makes me feel good because I don't know. I've been like over analyzing my social dynamics recently, and then I read some of these messages and I'm like, okay, I'm still okay. Like it's not there's crazier things out there.
There
I
are crazier
also
things.
just before we get into it need to say that I'm about to be the hater or I don't know, just tease you that the beginning of your intro was very like sultry podcast
I
voice.
was trying to make it sexy.
You did. You definitely
Okay.
did. And I heard it and I felt it in my loins. And I've been listening to more Call Her Daddy recently, which, like, I haven't historically been a big Call Her Daddy listener, but she's had some good guests on recently and I've been listening
Mm-hmm.
more. And Alex Cooper in Call Her Daddy, in her interviews, she talks normally, but in her ads, she's
Yeah.
very, like, she does the slowed down, sexy voice. And she's like, hey, Daddy Gang. HelloFresh is what you need or whatever. So anyway, I've just been observing that recently and I'm like, I wonder what the strategy is there. And then you did it for our intro.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to sell everyone on this podcast. I do really enjoy listening to podcasters' um ad voice because I feel like
Hmm.
everyone has a different take on their ad voice, and I think it's usually not even like conscious, but yeah, I do always like giggle and enjoy judging like, oh, I like that take on an ad voice. Oh, I don't like that one. La la la.
Yeah. I'm really happy you talked for as long as you did just then because I was chewing on this sour gummy and I was like, am I going to be done chewing by the time it's my turn to talk? But I agree.
Perfect.
I agree. The ad approach is interesting. Okay. Should we get right into it? Am I the
Let's
hater?
slap it. Let's slap it. Yeah.
Let's slap this hoe. All right, here's the first one. So a listener wrote in and said, I have a roommate or friendship. Am I the hater? Last year, I moved to a new city and serendipitously ended up being roommates with an old childhood friend. We've maintained our friendship despite living in different cities for several years, so it was really exciting for both of us to move into a new apartment together. The first year or so was fine, and I overall feel like we live pretty well together. However, in recent months, she has been staying nonstop with her boyfriend, and weeks will go by where I don't see her. I find myself feeling all at once judgmental of her lack of independence, sorry for her being in a seemingly codependent relationship, and hurt slash sad that I never see my friend anymore. She and her boyfriend both work from home, and I get the impression that they genuinely spend every waking minute together. And the thought of being that attached at the hip to anyone, even my own long term boyfriend, makes my skin crawl. And I know that they are different people in a different relationship, but it's hard not to cast judgment. It especially hurt recently when I learned that he was out of town for over a week and she was still staying at his place instead of ours. She had some ve- same she had some various reasons. His apartment is bigger and nicer, whatever, but it still felt like she was going to extreme lengths to avoid coming home. She's extremely kind and non confrontational and would probably never tell me straight up if there was an issue between us. So I have a hard time not taking this personally, even though everyone I've talked to has said that it probably has nothing to do with me. What would you do in this situation? I don't want her to feel obligated to come home just to appease me, but I also do want to know if there is a rift in our friendship that needs to be worked out, if I did something wrong, etc. Am I the hater for taking my roommate's absence personally? Probably, but will be fun to hear your thoughts.
And to be clear, it's the listener who wrote probably,
Oh
not
yeah.
just adding that,
Yeah.
not just adding that on the end.
Yeah. Do I agree with her? Maybe. Seems like a smart girl. You go first,
Yeah,
though.
this is just like such like crazy. Like, tell me you're 22. You got to be
Yeah,
22. This is like 22-year-old girl shit.
it
Yeah.
is.
I
And
I
like I've
actually
been
yeah.
there. I've been
Yeah.
there many times actually on both
Which
sides of the
side?
equation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My freshman year roommate in college. So we weren't like friends yet. We had gotten paired together and we hung out like the first night of college. And I thought, "Oh, okay, this is a girl that like maybe I'm going to become friends with. She's my roommate. We had fun this first night, whatever." And then she like never came back to the dorm. And then at the mid-year point, she ended up switching to a dorm that was like closer to the rest of her friends. And it
Damn.
clearly had nothing to do with me because we had not hung out at all.
Yeah.
Um, but it's hard not to take that personally. And like, it was this I was judgy of her and her behavior and like stuff she
Yeah.
was out doing instead of just being home like a normal person with a roommate going through college, studying, whatever, wearing their own clothes. Like, she would come back once every couple of weeks and like pack a bag of like a couple new tops and stuff.
So
I
was
was
she
like,
staying
okay.
just with other in another girl's dorm, or was she staying with like her boyfriend or partner or
I
something?
think a combo, like,
Okay.
she never really told me. I was kind of
Yeah.
piecing it together from things I heard from other people. I think it was sometimes staying with a guy, sometimes just staying in her other friends' dorms because I think she came into school with friends from high school who were at our college. And so she already kind of had like a social group. And then she joined a sorority and had a social group and like all these reasons that she just wanted to be with these other people. But it was to an extreme length. So that's when I was on that side of the equation. And then my first year out of college, first or second year out of college, um, I started dating someone, my ex, and my best friend Angela and I were living together in DC. She was going through a breakup and she was studying for the LSAT to get into law school. So she was in a very like healing from breakup, studying for the next chapter of my life and like setting myself up for my career mindset. And I was in a mindset of like, I've never had a boyfriend before and now I have one and I'm going out all the time and he's coming over all the time and like we were in very different places at this moment when we got to be roommates together fresh out of college.
Yeah, that's when it happens.
Yeah, and like no one ever really named anything that was going on at the time, but there was definitely tension that could be felt of like I could definitely feel some tension of just like am I doing something wrong? I am also a little bit bummed that she's not like going out and having fun as much with me as I thought she
Yeah,
would
you're
as a
like robbed
roommate.
of this premise of having a roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Simply because we were in very different places going through very different things. So, yeah, I've been on both sides of it, both, between the ages of 18 and 24. So,
Yeah. Yeah, same. I was the bad roommate or like the absent codependent roommate when I was literally, yeah, probably 21. And I was living with a girlfriend, but I was in love for the first time with like a fucking train wreck drug addict. And I would
classic.
just spend all my time with him. Yeah, it was awesome. It was totally codependent. Did you say awesome?
I was like, classic.
Oh, okay. I was like, awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. And and I was like totally obsessed, infatuated. I really felt like I had never really had a boyfriend before. All my friends had always had boyfriends, including this girl I'd lived with. Like I'd
Yeah.
always been the third wheel. I felt like I was always like a really like happy, like up for whatever third wheel. And then this was my turn to have a boyfriend, and like they always built their lives around their boyfriends. And I was just hanging out with my boyfriend. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think there was, but I was absent a lot. And I
Yeah.
didn't know it was bothering my roommate until like after we had moved out. All I knew is that she started getting like really mad at me all the time. Like she would get mad at little things, like I don't even know, stuff around the house. And I didn't get why she was so mad at me. You know, no one has communication skills. And then like after we moved out, she told me how upset she was. And I get it. I get it. Like when I listened to this story from this girl, I'm like, yeah, the codependent staying at her boyfriend girl is like it's immature behavior. It was immature when I did it. It's immature when she's doing it. It's inconsiderate and like you don't owe your roommate your life, but like, yeah, you signed on to this like roommate deal. There's kind of part of the premise is like you're living with someone, especially if you're friends. I'll have a friendship here.
Hmm.
Like, I screwed over my friend a little bit, even though I didn't know it. Um, I think that was one thing that was really hard for both of us to wrap our minds around at the time, which was like she felt so hurt and she felt so hurt. And when we talked about it long after the fact, it was like nothing was made. I was genuinely not aware of anything at the time, but after the fact, she she like could not accept that I didn't do this to hurt her. And to
Mm,
me, it was mind blowing that she couldn't hear, like I said, sorry a million times. You know, I groveled. I like wrote letters, like emails, you know, like I groveled and she wouldn't accept it. And I think she was just determined because of how much she was hurt that I intentionally hurt her.
yeah.
And stuff just doesn't, that's just not always the case. It doesn't mean that I'm not in the wrong. Doesn't mean like I still had stuff to apologize for, even if it's just negligence or lack of consideration. But I remember that being like a big point for both of us of me being like, oh, but I didn't know I was doing that. Like, I didn't know, I didn't know. But there, you know, even without intention, there's still impact to what I did.
Hmm.
And for her, it was like, it's unforgivable. We can never. Whereas it was like, well, you know, with a little communication, we could avoid this. We could change it. We could change something. Yeah. So I feel like that was like a concept that took years to learn is like sometimes even without bad intentions, you do have negative impact. And sometimes a negative impact does not come from bad intentions.
Yeah.
And it's just not always like black and white, villain and victim kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing for the listener is like her whole message was very, um, there were two concepts that were very entangled. Like she was kind of conflating two things. One of them was I tend to be somebody that judges people who are like with their partner 24/7, codependent in this way that I'm seeing my roommate be. And the other concept is like, she's never home. Is there a rift in our friendship? I miss her. I want to make sure that we're okay. And both of those feelings are valid and allowed to exist. But I feel like she's having a tendency because they're happening at the same time and it's very confusing and she doesn't have clarity. She's tending to be like, oh, she's obsessed with the boyfriend. I don't like that. And she hates me. Like, I think because she's putting some judgment on her roommate about how much time she's spending with her new boyfriend, it's almost like she's um muddying the water and making it like negative, making it
Well,
negative when there might
yeah.
not be anything actually negative going on from the roommate side. It's very much like classic behavior, new boyfriend, you're young, maybe depending on what her history has been with boyfriends, whatever, she's like obsessed and she's in that phase. And it doesn't actually have anything to do with the roommate. But if the roommate is now projecting like some judgment and muddying the waters and making the air a little bit negative,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I'm sure that that has like this cyclical ripple effect where it starts to all get entangled. So something that started innocently and having nothing to do with the roommate might
Mm,
then later have become like, well, yeah, you kind of make me feel judged because I'm with Tommy all the time. So now I
right.
just don't really
Like,
want to come home and hang out with you anymore.
yeah, like how my roommate and I was like, she was like getting mad at me at home, and I had no idea what it was about. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not as close anymore. She's mad at me all the time, but I don't know why. Or
Yeah.
like snapping at me about things. Yeah, there
Yeah.
could be some of that. I mean, honestly, we don't know what's going on with this girl. Maybe she also, you know, who knows?
Doesn't like
She's
you.
like, maybe she also doesn't like you anymore. It doesn't like even that, though, in a way, is like not personal to me. It's like we
Hmm.
had a friendship. If something in you changed, that's still not really about me. Like it's still not personal. But I think I see what you mean about like if you make the thing personal, you're also more likely to judge it. Like if I take my roommates, you know, if I'm the listener and it's like the roommate isn't home. Well, it must be she's avoiding me. And that feels so hurtful. I feel like I'm actually then more likely to judge her for doing something so bad. Whereas the
Yeah.
reality is like I agree. Be annoyed, like maybe move out, get a different roommate. Like the situation sounds like it sucks. The girl with who has the boyfriend, yeah, she sounds emotionally immature. She sounds like she's 22. And yeah, it's annoying. I'd be fucking annoyed. Like I don't want to be near that. It's annoying. I was that. Yeah, I was annoying. And also I feel like having empathy for like, yeah, it sounds like this 22-year-old girl is self-absorbed. It's a lot of 22-year-olds. I
Mm-hmm.
was, we're most of us are absorbed in our own problems, our first love, this is my only chance or whatever. You haven't learned to be considerate, blah, blah, blah. Like, um, it's immature. And I also like, it's like I judge it because it's immature, but I'm also just like, who the fuck hasn't done something like immature and like, just like, I don't
Yeah.
judge it in this moral way.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. But why? It's so hard to say things when you're young. I don't know. I guess you could do the like, I think it's okay. And I do it sometimes still, check in with my friends about like, is there something we need to talk about? Is there anything I need to know? Or are there like feelings I need to know? If you can say it in like a grounded, like that tone kind of way, like this is not emotionally laden, but just literally like, I wasn't sure if the vibe is off with us. Is there like anything I need to know
Yeah.
about? And if they're just like, no, make it a situation where they can be honest. Um, and if they say no, you got to believe them, even if they're lying. If there is something wrong and they're not able to tell you, that's also not your business. Like not your problem. That's their limit. Move on. But I think if you don't want to ask if something's wrong, I think something else you could do is just like say what you want. Be like,
Mm.
I know you're having a great time with Hootie Doo. Like, I really miss having you at home. It's so lonely. Like, I want to hang out with you more. You say what you want. And she was like, I don't want her to feel pressured into, don't fucking worry about that. She's going to
Mm-hmm.
handle her own feelings. She's going to
Yeah.
handle her own feelings. If she hangs out with you once or twice after that because she feels pressured, she's not going to keep it up for long. Don't worry. You'll find out. If she hangs out with you once or twice, she's on her phone the whole time talking about the boyfriend, she's elsewhere the whole time, you'll know.
Yeah.
Or she'll do it because she needs a little reminder, kind of like I did.
Yes.
And but either way you kind of get your answer. Like you say your want, you say your need, and then you release the rest. Either they can meet you there or they can't. But I would be fucking bummed out living that situation. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I would too. So I want to be clear about that before I say what I'm about to say. But the other thing is like, as much as I judge the roommate who is obsessed with her boyfriend and like the influencer Tinks has a phrase called boyfriend sickness, and it's like that first few weeks or months or whatever when somebody gets a new boyfriend and that's like all they can talk about, all they can think about, the only person they want to hang out with, whatever. She calls it boyfriend sickness. So this person has boyfriend sickness and I'm judging it a little bit at the same time. And we can say, like, oh, she's self absorbed.
Why are we judging it though? It's like everybody does it. So we just
No, I
judge it when
agree.
it's not us.
Totally. And
Like everybody goes through it. Okay.
this is what I'm getting to because, like, you mentioned something like, okay, she's 22, she's self absorbed. But there's also a version of being self absorbed that's like making the situation about you on the other roommate's side. She's watching her friend have boyfriend sickness and being like, taking it personally. Both
Oh,
sides
okay.
of it are relatable. Like the girl who has boyfriend sickness, we can judge it and say she's self absorbed, and we can also relate to it. The girl who is missing her friend and taking it personally, we can judge it and be like, why are you taking it personally? Like, your friend just has boyfriend sickness. It happens to us all. But we can also relate to it. I've been in those shoes of like taking something like that personally.
Yeah. I
So
guess
I
I
think,
balk at using the term self-absorbed with the
oh,
friend who like feels abandoned. I don't see that as self-absorbed. I feel like anyone would feel bad when their friend no longer hangs out with them.
no, I agree. It's maybe self-absorbed is too strong of a word, but like I think I just I think I just encourage people to not take things personally as often as we as humans, including
Yes.
myself,
But
tend to
Jess,
take things personally. But I think the communication, to your point, has to be just like focused on that piece of it. Like, I miss you. I want to make sure we're good. Am I missing something? Or like, is it
yeah.
just, you're excited about Tommy? Okay, cool. Can we like make a plan, just us, in the next couple of weeks, and just kind of don't make it a thing unless the girl comes back and says actually there is a problem, or and then it
Yeah.
becomes a thing. But
Yeah, you're right. Like,
you
don't
know,
make it like an intervention. Like, we have to talk,
yes,
Lila. It's like you do, even though the feelings are that strong. I feel like I used to go in really hot when I felt, or still, like I have to work through this. If I feel really hurt or disappointed by someone, or like I think I am taking something personally and I haven't talked to them about it yet. When I go in to talk about them, like my instinct is to like, I come in so hot, I come in so mad, I come in so la la la, and I'm like asking them about it. But then sometimes they have a really good explanation, and then I look like a fucking fool. And so I've had to do an adjustment in my head when I sit down, even when it's like facing conflict, like real conflict. I like tell myself like, okay, imagine you go and you face this conflict and they have a amazingly wonderful explanation. It's like, oh, she's actually been staying at her parents' home because um or at her boyfriend's home because both of her parents were shot this week and like she's just having a hard time getting out of that. Like just imagine they have like the explanation that will make you be like, oh, this is really not about me. And then go in and ask the question like with
Yeah.
that in your mind.
Yeah.
Not to like gaslight yourself, but to bring the emotion down. Like
Hmm.
that's what helps me is like assume they have a really good explanation. I think that's what people say when they're like, I mean, I guess benefit of the doubt, but like that never helps me. I just like literally imagine what is like the best explanation they could ever give and then ask
Yeah.
the question, assuming that's true. And then they'll say
Yeah.
some bullshit and then you can go from there.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, odds are that this girl isn't thinking about you, which
Right.
like is hurtful in its own right, and also means that it's not because you did something wrong. It's just because she's not thinking about you. She's only thinking about
Yeah.
the thing that's really, really exciting and important to her right now. So, like, as much as that hurts, and you could even express that that hurts if that's what comes out of your conversation, it also is another way to just depersonalize it and being like, okay, well,
Well,
she's just absorbed in what she's absorbed in. I don't know. I just think separating, like, don't come into it with all this um judgment, even if very fair, of like, I'm worried about you being codependent with him, or I'm worried that you're losing touch
not
with
your
your friends
business.
or whatever.
Not your
It's
business.
not
Just
gonna,
say your
and you're
need.
not gonna get
Yeah,
what you want out of that
totally.
either, you
Just say
know?
what you want. Yep, you've got no control over her codependence, la la la. I mean, you very little control over her at all or influence over her because the relationship is falling apart. So release any idea that you have access to influence her.
Yeah.
Because to have access to influence someone, you need to have like presence and mutual respect and mutual trust and that kind of foundation of closeness. And yeah, she's like fucking off right now. So I wouldn't try to change her or save her. You'd say what you need, you
Hmm.
know?
Is she the hater? The listener that wrote in? I feel
Nah,
like we
I
have
hate
to
her.
answer
I
that.
hate her roommate too. Her roommate's annoying me. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't think she's a hater. Like, whatever. We all take things personally. That's not being a hater. It's being a human.
agree. I don't think her I'm not even that annoyed with her roommate, to be honest. Because again, I've been in both of these shoes. I've
I
been on both
know.
sides of this. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, people get really into their own stuff sometimes, and we all do
Yeah.
it. And whatever.
No, I don't.
Hopefully there's a way out of it where you keep your friend, but if there isn't, then it's also like, okay, that wasn't a great friend, which is really hard to
Yeah.
deal with, especially when it's your roommate and you were really excited to live together and there's all this context and history and like attachment there, but these are exactly the things that start to happen
Yeah.
in your through your 20s and into life that like really teach you what you want out of your friends and who's going to be there and who's not and who's somebody who you can safely express a feeling to and who you can't, and it's
Oh,
like all part of
yeah.
it, you know?
It's so funny. Yes. Like, there's the friends. It's funny. Like, I feel like the people you're first attracted to, whether it's a friendship or romantically, it's like the banter is great. We have the same sense of humor and we like to do the
Yeah.
things and talk about the things. And like, those aren't superficial things. But I don't know. I've just been thinking recently about like, a real friend to me might not share as many of those things. It might not be the best banter, or it might not be that we have all the same interests, but like there's nothing like having a friend you can count on.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing as good as that. And then those people you can banter with and talk with and hang with, and they're a good roommate for a year, but you can't rely on them even after you communicate. Like, whatever. We all deserve forgiveness. We all fuck up. Things have to be communicated. People think about themselves. We don't know each other's needs. But if you were to like communicate all this to her and she doesn't care, or she's just like doesn't care to be there unless she's bored out of her mind, has nothing else to do, or only cares to be there as long as it's not inconvenient for her, like that's a very different level friend. And I can still enjoy those people. There's definitely people in my life that I'm like, you're so fun. I love our lunches. I love to chat. I love to do things, but like I would never count on you for anything. I would never rely on you for anything.
Yeah, you have to find that out some way. You
Yeah.
probably assume that if you have a friend that you enjoy their company and whatever, that they'll also hopefully be someone that you can count on. And the only way that you really find out if they are or
Yeah.
aren't is if it's tested and then you learn. I mean, there's also a third way that this plays out, that this listener's DM plays out, which goes back to what I was saying about when I was 23 and living with my friend Angela in DC, and she was going through a breakup. I was starting a new relationship. Our timing was off in terms of what our lives looked like while we were roommates. And we didn't really like have a full on conversation about that at the time. I don't think we ever really have. It's kind of been like lightly alluded to. Um, but I was really aware as the person who was like obsessed with my new relationship while my roommate was going through the opposite. I was aware at the time of that dynamic, and I was trying really hard to like, first of all, I would still came home every night or like most nights or whatever. So I wasn't as absent as this person sounds like they are. But I also was trying to, I would check in with my friend and say, like, hey, I know that this timing is weird with your breakup, but like, I hope if I'm doing anything weird, like, please let me know. And she was like, no, I'm so happy for you. Like, it's not an issue. And we would still make a point to have our own nights together. And so there was always this underlying tension, but we were still trying to make the friendship work through that and like both showing an awareness of each other's situation and how it was just like difficult timing. And so it didn't require, it's not the same as this, but for other listeners who are relating to some aspect of this conversation and maybe it's not as drastic, like there is a world in which this is a phase and your timings just aren't lining up that well, but you're still trying your best to be good friends, but it just feels like it's not quite clicking. And then the phase moves on. I mean, the
Yeah.
friend that I'm talking about that with
Yeah.
is still one of my best friends to this day. She is someone I can count on. I am someone she can count on. That
Mm-hmm.
situation didn't break us, but it was like an awkward period in our friendship where we had to navigate how do we do this when we're both going through very different things and where we both need very different things and want very different things and our lifestyles look differently, and how do we stay friends and also roommates, friends who live together, through that. And so it was, yeah, it was uncomfortable, but there's a world in which you just keep trying and you make it through, and then that period is no longer, and then you still have that
Mm-hmm.
friend.
Yeah, or you just let there, or like, or you let there be space and you
Mm-hmm.
let yourselves reconnect another time. Like maybe you do move out. Maybe it's not a good time to be living together. Maybe you want to have a present roommate, but that also doesn't mean that you have to just like write her off.
Yeah.
Like even those friends that I'm like, oh, you've shown me how unreliable you are. I've learned now I'm not going to just write them off altogether. It's like they can occupy this kind of friendship with me.
Yeah.
But I think when you're younger, there is a lot more like, oh, I have to either they make the cut or they're everything or they're nothing. But it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you can just discover limits. Yeah, I heard actually my my therapist gave this great definition of acceptance recently that thought was like the best definition I've ever heard of acceptance. And she was saying that like, and I, because a lot of people like struggle with this, and like I do too. Like, what does it mean? I'm supposed to accept like these horrible things. What does it mean to accept these disappointing qualities in people or in my life or whatever? And she was like, accepting does not mean liking something. It's not
Mm-hmm.
convincing yourself that you like something, but it's recognizing, okay, if that's where you're at right now, then this is what I'm willing to do or not do. So accepting, okay, my friend if you have the conversation, you figure out whatever you communicate, and then you accept like, okay, this is where my friend is at in this stage of her life. She's being obsessed with her boyfriend. Yeah, I might think she'll regret this in a couple months, but like that's where she's at right now. Cool. I don't like it, but I can accept that that is what's happening. And so if that's the case, this is what I'm willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I am not willing to pay rent with her anymore because it's just, isolated me in this box. I'm willing to hang out with her at lunches, but I am going to ask us to like terminate our lease and find a new roommate. Or I'm not going to be, on call for her when she calls me and demands something if I'm trying to do something else. I used to always make the time to pick up her calls, but that's not a way I'm willing to show up right now because I obviously have to build other things in my life. So, like, that's what acceptance is. I
Yeah.
see where you are and your limitations. So, given that, this is what I'm willing to do, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
really
thought that was
similar.
helpful.
It is helpful. It's really similar to something a word my therapist gave me,
Ugh.
kind of around similar things, which was like, I may want somebody to be different, or I may be like disappointed by a dynamic with somebody, and I want it to be different, but it's not going to be different, and I have to accept it. And she kind of armed me with a very simple word, which was like, um, my preference. She was like, your
Yeah.
preference is that this person doesn't behave in this way,
Mm-hmm.
but you know that you can't control that, and you know that you're, not trying to force them to change or whatever. You accept that your preference is not reality, but like
Right, right,
you
right,
can
right, right,
still
right.
hold your preference. And that's even something I've used in communication, in difficult conversation with people about, stuff going on in our relationship. Well, I'll say, yeah, my preference is X, but I understand that you're not willing to meet me at X, so it's
Yeah.
Y.
My
And
preference is that
now,
you weren't annoying me right now,
right. And
but
now
I
that it
accept that you are.
and now that I know that, now that that's what I accept, I can set my boundary accordingly. But yeah, like something about framing stuff, like it's not that I need them to change. It's not that I need them to do something for me or need them to be this thing for me. It would be my preference, but if they're not going to, I have to like understand that. Okay, let's moving on.
Do you want to do, I kind of want to do the younger guy one.
Younger guy one.
Not the next
Oh,
one, but the one after.
oh yes, yes, that's the one I was actually thinking of for
Okay,
next.
sweet.
Okay, cool. Do you want to read it?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Cool. Next submission. This one is, I don't even
Made
know what
me
to say
laugh.
about this.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so am I the hater? Long story short, my friend, late 20s, was dating a guy that was a fair bit younger, like 20 or 21. I know she was feeling a bit funny about the age difference and maybe a little sensitive about how people might perceive it. The thing is, he also just physically resembles a baby. Like, not in the way where he looks younger than he is, but he just has a big round head, light wispy blonde hair, blue eyes, and he's quite short. He actually very much looks his age, but he also literally just looks like a baby. Anyway, this caused a huge fight between us because she asked me what I thought about him, and in an offhand way, I was like, "Oh yeah, he's cute. He's like a little baby." She got really upset with me and said that I was suggesting that she was attracted to him specifically because he looks young, which I didn't. I explained like I did above. I think specifically what I said was, I'm not suggesting anything. I just used my eyes to look at him and he looks like a baby. If he looked like a turtle, I would say he looks like a turtle, but he looks like a baby. So I said he looks like a baby. At that point, we kind of just agreed to disagree, but it was a pretty heated disagreement. Obviously, this hit on a sensitivity of hers, which I can understand, but she then went around and told a number of our mutual friends that I insinuated she's a pedophile, which I absolutely did not. At this point, I now feel like she's actually the one in the wrong here, and that she's making me out to seem like this cruel and judgmental person for what was a misunderstanding at best. Funnily enough, they actually broke up a while back, but there's still a bit of tension bubbling under us because of this. I explained the situation to our mutual friends, but I really don't appreciate the insinuation that I would say something so crazy like that about a close friend of mine, especially when that's not specifically what I said. Oh, especially when that's specifically not what I said. Anyways, I can acknowledge how fully stupid and funny this all is, but I don't feel like I should budge on it. Jury says,
This took me for a ride when I saw it in our
yeah.
email. And my initial reaction is like, does your friend think that she's on Real Housewives of wherever you live? Like, this is the type of drama that happens on Real Housewives where somebody
And
takes a
nowhere
comment
else.
and nowhere else, where someone takes a comment like he looks like a little baby to mean you called me a pedophile. And then it's like the premise of the drama for the entire season of the show. Um, I want to know so much more about this friend. Like what like I want a documentary on this person. I want to
Yeah,
know
she
what
must
the
be. Sounds
drama
like a
has been
fucking
like.
pedophile to me. Sounds like a guilty
Right?
pedophile to
Like
me.
does she have a tendency to turn things into dramas and get really like turn something small into something big and get
I
really
mean, she sounds like, yes, she's very insecure about the age gap for whatever reason, either because she's
right.
genuinely a pedophile or because she's just
I know.
embarrassed that she's dating someone younger. Like, this is obviously her own problem.
It sounds like you do like him because he looks like a baby. Like, why are you getting
Why
so
are you being so
defensive?
weird about that? Also, lots of my friends' husbands look like babies and they don't get upset when you say that. Like, this is obviously her own. I don't actually think she's a pedophile. Because he's of age, so she would not be with a 21-year-old if she was a pedophile. But
Right. Good point.
she's obviously this is obviously she's very insecure about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what I can say about this that is um wisdom for a podcast. I just find
Yeah.
it
I just find it funny.
hysterical.
I'll fucking tell
I
you
don't
what.
think the listener's in the wrong. I mean, the
Whoa.
most I can say to her is like if if you have the background on your friend that I wish I had, to know that she's like a dramatic person who tends to jump to these types of conclusions and get really defensive, or that you knew specifically that she was sensitive about this guy being young. Maybe if it were me, I wouldn't make a comment like he looks like a baby, even if I thought he looked like a baby.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that doesn't mean that you
Did
are
anything
in the
wrong.
wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Do you know how often I put my foot in my mouth?
exactly.
Pretty much whenever it's open. Yes. But like genuinely, what I would say, I don't think you're in the wrong at all. As
No.
we discussed before, it's possible she feels hurt. Maybe you just happened to pick the exact descriptor that she's walking around thinking like everyone must be judging me because he's so young. Everyone's judging me and thinking he's so young. And then you happen to say
Yeah.
he looks like a baby and it hit the perfect thing for her. Yeah, maybe she feels hurt, but you have to stay in touch with what your intentions were here. Like intention and impact. This is not something I would ever fucking apologize for, even if she feels there was an impact. Because if you, unless you said this, if you said it to hurt her, or if you said it a little bit because you know she's insecure about it, yes, go apologize.
Hmm.
But if you just genuinely were describing his face the way you would describe a turtle as looking like a turtle, if you can stand behind that, if you are being honest with us and honest with yourself, no fucking way should you apologize because then it sounds like you really had bad intentions.
Mm.
Like there's sometimes where I don't know, I fucking hate do not apologize to me because you think I want to hear it.
To
You know what I
appease.
mean?
Hmm.
I think like an apology is precious. Only say it if you mean it, if there's something to apologize for. Because if you apologize for something that you don't actually feel apologetic for or don't think you have fault for, it's going to come up later in that relationship. Like if this person is so unreasonable that they can't understand there was no bad intent there, they're going to cling to that apology. They're going to bring it up later. It's going to go in your permanent record or some shit. Just say what you mean. Do not apologize for something if you really had no ill intent there. I think you can be like, wow, I had no idea like this was going to
Yeah,
cause a rift between us. Like this is not worth I didn't mean anything when I said it. I had
that's what
no
I was
idea it
gonna
would have
say.
this impact, but I also really don't want a rift between us. Like this sucks. Let's be like this tension sucks. I don't want that. You can say that, but I would not be like if you actually just said it with no intention, I would not apologize.
Well, especially now. Now it's all to me like once the pedophile word hit the scene. Like
Yeah, true. I forgot about that.
nothing's relevant. None of this is
Yeah,
relevant
nothing's
anymore.
relevant anymore.
But before she started to make those accusations, I tend to agree with what you're saying. I think that there's a world, and I think if it were me, and I tend to be a more apologetic person, which I try to work on, but it's pretty easy for me to say to somebody, even if it's not a I'm sorry, because like you said, it sounds like there was no ill intent here, but it's pretty easy for me to say instead, um, I didn't mean to offend. Like it was my bad. It was not
Yeah,
my
yeah,
intention
yeah.
to offend you with that comment. I thought we were all just kind of like joking around, and like he does kind of look like he has a baby face. And
Like
I can
that's a
name
phrase.
that's a
That's a
phrase. I can name
phrase,
like
baby
10 hot
face.
men in Hollywood who have baby faces. Like that's not a inherently bad thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's how I would have played it. And it sounds like their disagreement got really heated. And I can't tell, we don't know more to know like it sounds like this other person is kind of unhinged. So I would fully believe that they brought it to a
Yeah.
really heated place.
They
But it
do sound
also sounds
unhinged.
like our listener who wrote in it was committed to holding on to like I would call him a turtle if he looked like a turtle. Like she was also committed
Yeah,
to her
yeah,
stance, and I
yeah.
think it's hilarious. I understand why. Like I don't think you're ultimately in the wrong, but I do think there's a moment when like if your friend is really upset about something that you've said that you
Yeah,
didn't
true.
mean to offend them, but it did offend them, you can address that.
Yeah.
And she said at the end of her description of their conflict, like we agreed to disagree.
I don't even understand what that part means. What do
Yeah,
we have to agree on here? It's like, first of all, if one person genuinely thinks he looks like a baby, I hope that's not what you're fighting over. I hope you're
right.
not fighting over your feelings about what something looks like. I'm assuming that's not it. That doesn't require any agreement. One person can think I look like something, another
Yeah,
person think
were
I look
they
like something.
arguing like, no, he does not look like a baby? Like, what
Or
are we
are you
talking about?
arguing or are you arguing over like whether your intentions were to be hurtful? Because like that's also not an argument. You should be
Yeah.
able to say like I hear it felt hurtful, but this is like I don't even understand what what they agreed to disagree on.
It sounds to me like this was an argument that was I heard this said on couples therapy, that show. She advised one of the couples about not don't go and litigate what happened. As soon as you are litigating, no, you left your shoes in front of the door and I tripped over them. No, I left them to the side. You must have tripped over something else. As soon as you're litigating like the facts of what did and didn't happen, you're going nowhere and you're missing the point. Both people might have different memories of something or have different experiences of something where like litigating the facts is getting you nowhere. And it feels to me like when she says we agreed to disagree, there was something about that conflict where they were litigating the facts.
Oh yeah,
Like
like
you
what
meant
was exactly said or
what was exactly
something.
said, or what was the tone it was said in, or what was your
Yeah.
intention when you said it, or whatever. That's not getting us anywhere, ladies. Like the thing that should be addressed, that it sounds like the offended party was not able to express, and then the party who said the comment about the baby was not willing to give, is like that offended me, that hurt me, that pushed
Feelings.
on something for me that like I'm sensitive
Yeah.
about. And they didn't, it sounds like they weren't having a conversation about their
Yeah.
feelings at all. And then that's how you end up in a place where you agree to disagree about something that should have been a passing comment, and
Right.
then it blows up into a housewives worthy drama. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
Because it
like
was
that's just
never
what it is.
about the comment. It was never about the baby face. It's probably about something around, friend, I feel insecure that everyone's judging me and I feel like everyone's always judging me for this younger man and I'm tired of feeling that way. And then other friend feeling like whatever she was feeling, either she was feeling nothing, it was an offhand comment, or maybe she was feeling like taking a jab because there is a little bit of judgment or resentment there or something. But either way, it's like, yeah, the facts don't matter, the feelings do. The facts just don't
Mhm.
get you anywhere.
Yeah. That being said, now that she is going and
Calling
telling
you a
people that
pedophile?
you accused her of being a
What?
pedophile, I
I
would say
forgot.
we don't need to maintain that friendship. That's what I would say.
That's kind of how I felt reading so many of these. I was like, it's okay to just loosen your grip on friendship sometimes. Sometimes
Hmm.
we just let that one drift a little bit. Maybe it comes back. Maybe it comes back, but you don't have to convince, I don't think you should have to convince people to like act in a sane way.
I want to interview this woman who decided that this all meant that her friend thinks she's a pedophile. I
The
want
only
to
person spreading
know.
pedophile rumors is her about
I know.
herself.
I need to know everything about like her childhood trauma and like where is this coming from? Where are you making these leaps from? I need to understand her. And I also do need to see a picture of this baby man, but you know, we'll keep that to
I know.
ourselves.
I want a picture of the man. I want to send them to the definition of a pedophile.
Yeah.
Like,
We need to correspond a little bit here.
yeah,
We need
first of
more
all, if I
correspondence.
we need a little more correspondence.
So I know I've talked about putting off my wisdom teeth surgery. Flex, I still have all my wisdom teeth. Can you say the same? I bet you can't. No, it's not a flex and it's pretty bad. And it means that my dentist appointment the other day was kind of painful, but at least they gave me a heated neck pillow and at least I was able to play Love is Blind on Netflix while I laid there. And do you know who helped me find this luxurious dentist? ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. I use them for pretty much all my doctors. I will be using them whenever I finally work up the nerve to schedule that wisdom teeth surgery. And I will be thanking them for all the heated neck pillows at my dentist's office for the rest of time. Like, that is self-care that my insurance is paying for. All thanks to ZocDoc. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/not-for-everyone to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/not-for-everyone. ZocDoc.com/not-for-everyone. Should we do the probably last one?
Yeah. Which one do you want to do?
So we have this other one. So we have this wedding one, which I also thought was crazy. And
Oh,
then,
yeah, they're all crazy.
right? I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
Continue the
yeah.
theme.
Yeah, all of them made me so annoyed and so
I
stressed.
know, but I was so happy that this is the level of DM that we were getting because, like,
They're all I know, people are coming in with the juice. The
I know
the
I asked
20
for the juice.
the 24-year-old themed juice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay.
I guess
Here's
this
some
one's a little
juice.
older, but it's still fucking juice. Yeah.
If you're in your 20s,
It's all
it's
bullshit.
juice. Okay. This listener wrote in, am I the hater submission/wedding edition? I, 27-year-old female, got married this summer. One of my friends RSVP'd yes and asked to bring her new boyfriend. I hadn't originally invited him, but felt uncomfortable doubling down on the no plus ones, even though it was on the wedding website and the invite was only for her. So I caved. A week before the wedding, she texted me to say her boyfriend had broken up with her and she would be, quote, too sad to come. She canceled on attending. I tried to be understanding, but I was also hurt. Of course, it was after I'd paid for her and her plus one's meals, etc., but also because she had other friends there and they hadn't been together that wait, but also because she had other friends there. Okay, sure. But also because she had other friends there and they hadn't been together that long. About a week after my wedding, she was already messaging me and mutual friends about traveling for her birthday. I declined, and since then, I've just been letting the friendship fizzle out. We live in different cities now, and I don't feel much desire to keep investing in the friendship. Am I the hater? Love you, Kooky Queens.
No, I
Hey,
kind of
Kooky
agree.
Queen.
I immediately kind of
You have
agree
a
with her.
terrible friend there. Yeah.
Like,
You got a
yeah.
terrible friend there.
What the fuck? That's so wild.
I think, okay, let's break this all down from the beginning.
Break it down, Hessica.
I have a huge problem with people who think that they are entitled to a plus one when they were clearly not given a plus one. I have a huge problem with it. I find it so enraging. Even even if the plus one is your husband, if he wasn't invited, okay, you can be upset that he wasn't invited. You can think that was rude of your friend for not inviting him. You can not want to go to the wedding because your husband's not invited. But like that that's the invite. The invite goes out and then you decide how to receive it. That's kind of how I feel about these things. The invite
Yeah.
goes out and then you receive that invite and you decide, how do I feel about this? And obviously the husband example is extreme, but then when it comes back down to earth and it's like a new boyfriend, it was
Yeah.
clearly stated on the website, no plus ones unless we wrote the name on the invite or whatever, which is generally the practice for this stuff. I just I get enraged when people when
Look at you
people have
shaking.
that
You're
entitlement. I've
trembling.
never I've never been married. I've never had a wedding. I'm not there yet, but like I'm so mad about it. I would
That's
never
funny.
do that in
No,
return.
it's
I don't know.
crazy.
It
It's
makes me
crazy.
so
The
mad.
the one exception I can think of
Okay.
is if they're at that age where like they're a little bit younger here. And so if it's like the first wedding and they like
Mm,
aren't familiar with the rules of weddings, like and
fine.
if they think receipt like and I think that would only happen if it's like one of the first weddings you've ever been invited to or something like that. Um it's like I could see someone being like, "Oh, it's like I got a party invitation. Like, can I bring
Right.
does my boyfriend get to come to the party?" Like, they don't know how much money it costs. They don't know how exact the guest list has to be. Like, that's the only exception I can think
Maybe
of. Like,
so.
maybe
But
they
I
don't know,
feel,
but this girl sounds annoying in so many other
well, of
ways.
course. I also just feel like that is true. There's probably some people who just don't know the etiquette. It's their first time, whatever. We can give a pass. But I do also kind of feel like some people play a little
Just
dumb.
push it.
They
Shut the
play
fuck
dumb.
up. That's
They play
crazy.
dumb and they're like, "Oh, like was
You've
Steve
seen
part of
this. You've
this?"
seen
Yes,
this.
I've totally seen it. I've
At
totally
what
seen it.
age? Of recent?
Like
Of
late
late?
20s, like late 20s. Like the first weddings that I was going
Wow.
to for my group of friends were probably late 20s people.
Wow.
And I feel like there were
Nasty.
some people who were like, "Oh, like they must have just forgot John." And it's like I think the people who are paying a bunch of money to have a wedding know exactly who they invited and did so
Yeah.
intentionally. Like, no, I
Yeah.
don't think they forgot John. And I just feel like,
Okay, cool. I've never seen
yes,
it
you
done.
could,
I feel your fury.
oh, I feel like it's
Yeah.
happened a lot. And like you
Whoa.
can you can get maybe one pass, but there's some people who kind of consistently care too much about this and kind of play dumb, like and ask for it anyway. I've just seen that. It really pisses me off. So this is my party line.
Wild.
That
Wild.
being
Okay.
said,
I
we are
co-sign.
also okay. So then the listener was like, gave in, which, maybe you'd have more perspective on that than me. On one hand, I'm like, girl, you gave in. Don't do that. On the other hand, I have empathy of like, it's really stressful to have a wedding and you just want everyone to be happy and
Well,
your
also some
friend is
people
putting you in a
say
tough position.
sometimes they have extra spots. Sometimes you have like some people,
Some
12 aunts
people
said
said
no. And
no.
so they're
Yeah.
like, okay, they asked, like it's annoying they asked, but we could fit it them in now,
Yeah.
whatever.
So maybe it was something like that. Okay.
Being
So
accommodating.
cool. I can give her a pass for that. Um, but yeah, then the friend bailing and saying she would be too sad to come.
I don't give a fuck if your dad just died. Buck up.
Do you
I
know how
mean,
many
that one
people
would
are
be
sad at
acceptable.
weddings
Yes,
every
it's
day?
most people. It's
Yeah,
most people.
it's
If
most
your parent
people.
died, you don't have to go. But like, yeah, I mean, she goes on when the listener was like, they hadn't even been together that long. That part doesn't matter. Like, we have no idea how this affected or devastated her. Show the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
this is this when I feel like it shit we keep talking about. I'll stick to my values, I'll stick to my commitments when I feel like it. Be fucking depressed and show up. Show the fuck
Yeah.
up.
This is not
That's
a
not
birthday
about you.
party. This is
No, show
not
the fuck
a
up.
fucking
And then,
passing event.
you know what's so damning? That a week
Mm-hmm.
later, she was trying to organize everybody else to go do something to celebrate her birthday,
Fuck you.
to
Fuck
travel
you.
for it. No, you're supposed to be depressed right now. You're not in the mood to
Oh
celebrate. You're
yeah.
so depressed you can't travel.
It's the same
No.
thing. It's the same thing. And lots of people write into us about this. I think we've talked about it before as those friends who like put a boundary up because of cost. Like, oh, I can't come to your bachelorette party because I'm
But then they
saving money.
spend it on something
And a
else.
week later, they're in Greece. Yeah. And you're like,
It is
okay.
annoying. So it tells you what it communicates, what both of those communicate to me is like, so it's not quite about not having the money or not having the time or not having the emotional capacity. It's
Yeah.
about I'm not worth those things for you. Like it
This is not a
is.
priority.
Yeah, it's not a priority. I would not feel any desire to invest either. I really wouldn't. I think these are like petty things, but it's like all of it is incredibly annoying.
Yeah. And you know what I would maybe take from it going back to the initial thing of like, okay, the listener gave a pass and was accommodating and gave her the +1 to the wedding. And then this is how it all transpired. I would maybe be like, okay, here's what I learned from this scenario. I'm not going to fold on the things that I'm comfortable with or the boundaries I've set, like just for any bitch left, right, or center,
Yeah.
because look how that pans out for me. Like I hate to create like a spiteful thing of like, oh yeah, what we learned from this is like never do anything for anyone again. That's not what I mean, but like
I think
I
it depends on the
bet
person.
I bet that you kind of knew this friend was annoying already. I bet it doesn't sound like this was your best friend. I feel like you would have said if it was like your closest friend or your best friend or something. It's a friend in the group. And you were accommodating, which was very generous of you, and then you were totally disrespected and like punished for that basically. And so just being human, if it were me, I would have a takeaway of like, okay, I'm going to think twice before I am extra generous and extra accommodating with somebody like this because look where it gets me. Like I feel totally disrespected. And I'm not saying that's the healthy thing to do, but I know it is how I would feel at the end of all
Okay,
this, you
okay.
know?
I think it's just like it depends on the person. I
Yeah.
think my takeaway would be if this is someone who does this a lot and takes a lot and does not give back a lot and I keep trying to accommodate them because I'm a generous person, then I would be like, okay, listen to the person they're telling you they are. They take,
Hmm.
they disappoint, they don't give back. I'm not generous with those people. And I'm a very generous, will bend over backwards, go out of my way, do all the things, always feel guilty kind of person. And then certain people teach you not to do that. And then the people who are like those amazing, reliable, like good value there for you, bend over backwards for you friends, for those people, I will bend over like crazy. You know,
Yes.
I do think it's like,
That's the
I
right
don't,
adjustment to what I said.
yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the person. Some people get that from me. Some people have trained me that they do not.
Yeah, I just have a hypothesis. This is always when this is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of the
yeah.
same thing I said in the last DM. I wish we could know more about these people who show up in these like really wild and unacceptable ways
One
because
tiny snapshot. I know we're missing.
I have
I
such a
know.
strong hypothesis and feeling that like the data would show that this is consistently you can find other examples of this person being this way prior to this snapshot that we've gotten. So that's
Yeah,
where I'm hypothesizing like if that's not
yeah,
true then that's not true, but I have a feeling that people who do things as extreme as this and as extreme as the last DM, this is not the first time that they've showed up in those like extreme ways to disappoint and
yeah.
disrespect their friends. And so that's where I would start to clock like if this has been a trend with this person, like you're saying.
Totally, totally.
Let me also notice that about other people that come in and into my life over the years and
Yeah,
clock trends and not overextend myself for people who are demonstrating that trend because
yeah,
it can end in in these very extreme ways that feel like you've been robbed of something. Like being generous and going out on a
yeah,
limb and overextending yourself is a choice that you're making. And we can talk a bunch about boundaries and people pleasing and how to decide whether to make that choice or not. But at the end of the day, if you decide to make that choice, I'm with you. I like you're a lover. That's amazing. And also like you've you've opened a door and it sucks so much when that door is slammed in your face. And so something I've worked on a lot is like noticing when that door could be slammed in my face sooner to hopefully prevent it from happening, to hopefully not let those people who are going to do that to me as close or not overextend myself for those types of people. So that's where I'm coming from. Like if we had more like
okay.
longitudinal data of this person, to your point, it depends on the person. But I bet this person, I bet this person has been shady
I
before a
bet they
bunch of
are.
times.
I bet they are. Yeah,
You look
annoying.
like you have something to say.
No, I was just processing what you said. I feel like I have like a maybe somewhat similar, somewhat different version. Maybe this is what you're saying, but like, um, I guess to me, the part that differs with me is like not trying to prevent the door from being slammed in my face.
Mm,
Although maybe we're talking about the same thing, but more like when I'm going to be generous or go out of my way or yeah, give something a little inconveniently.
yeah.
Like I think like to be generous means like you expect nothing back. And
Yeah.
so I kind of like if I give this am I only going to be happy I gave it if I get a certain reaction and a certain response? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Whereas like, one of my like really great friends who I love and adore, if they asked me for the plus one and then this scenario went down, they couldn't show up last minute and they didn't have a history of it, I wouldn't be that pissed. I'd be like a
Yeah.
little surprised, but I wouldn't necessarily like regret giving them that plus one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it's the person who just like has burned you again and again and let you down in little stupid, petty, persistent ways again and again, then I'm pissed about it. So it's like if you're
Yeah.
giving I think that's what is like trying to identify your own boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I think, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I just think it's
yeah,
like really unlikely that somebody would do this
yeah.
who didn't have a pattern of doing it.
Yeah, it's so
And
weird.
I also,
I really want to know what their version of the story is. That's what
yeah,
I always wonder with
true.
these things when it's written in one paragraph in a really clean narrative. And it's like we all have different versions of what
Yes.
happened. And almost everyone writes a version of the story that is a version they can live with,
Yeah.
where they're not the villain. And like,
Yeah.
I just always wonder how do they make sense of what happened in their head?
I totally agree. There's three sides to every story. Yeah. I totally agree. The other thing I want to go back to that I thought was interesting and is a good important reminder is that you talked about generosity and like the definition of that is that you give without expectation. And I feel like while yes, in theory true, there's also maybe a spectrum where like if I overextend myself to give to someone, I'm doing that knowing that they might not be like I'm not expecting a specific reaction. I'm not expecting them to like sing and dance and yell my praises on a mountaintop. Um but I'm also not expecting the complete polar opposite of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I just won't do if they do that. If I give willingly once and they have to give me the polar opposite, oh, I just won't do it
I'm
again.
just not doing it again.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's if we're on the
It's the
neutral to
pattern.
positive reaction side of the spectrum,
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
fine. Like even if they're neutral, even if they don't really like do that much in response to my generosity,
Yeah.
fine, that's fine. Whatever. I
They
decided
spit
to
in
do
my
it. I have to
face.
live with my choice. That's fine. But yeah, it's when we're on the negative side of the spectrum that's like, all right, I will never do this again for you. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just like I think as people pleasers, I speak on behalf of the people pleasers who I know are listening. Like,
Yeah.
we have to get better at noticing those people. I guess that's just where I'm coming from is like noticing those people who are just takers and detractors
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
not continuing to give and overextend, even though that is it's like your comfort zone to say yes. It's your comfort zone to
Yeah.
overextend. It would be uncomfortable to say no to them, but those are
Especially
the
to
people,
takers. Yes,
right? But those are the people that you
especially
have
to
to.
the people who abuse it, to the people who like abuse your generosity or abuse your flexibility. They are the people, in my experience, every single instance I can think of are people who do not second guess themselves. They would
Mm,
never write in saying, Am I the hater? Because they're just certain
yes.
that they're not. They would
Yes.
never write in question. They are not the ones full of doubt. It's like the givers who are full of doubt, full of self doubt. But maybe this was me, but maybe I did something wrong. But maybe is it somehow my fault? Did I somehow contribute? Should I have done something differently? The takers
Exactly.
are just like, I deserve this. No, that you did me wrong. I'm entitled to this. And it's like, it's so hard to stand up to them. And I think those are the people I'm most likely to bend over backwards for and give to historically because they make you feel so bad and so
Hmm.
wrong if
Well,
you
they're also the
don't.
ones that ask. They're the ones
Yes,
that ask.
they're the ones that ask. And then
The
literally
other ones don't
my friends
ask.
who don't do that, if they did, my good, the whatever, I don't even know how to categorize these people, the giver friends I have,
Yeah.
they do also sometimes, we all have to ask for stuff sometimes. And if a giver friend asks for something of me and I can't give it, they would never make me feel
Make you
bad
feel
about it.
bad.
It's
Hmm.
only a certain type of person. it's a takers. And then you give them extra because you feel like you have to in order to survive the relationship. But those are the very people you should be cutting it off with or just not giving to. It's like one of the biggest things I've worked on over the last year or two. And it's going to be so uncomfortable. It is going to be so uncomfortable. But the good news is they like feel entitled to something whether you give it or not. And when you give it,
Yeah.
they're not grateful. So it doesn't even go anywhere. And then they're always entitled to a next thing. So when you're generous, it doesn't even stay in their memory. And they move on to, and it's like it doesn't get anywhere. So if they get mad at me one time because I don't give them something, it's kind of the same as if I fucking gave them something. It's kind of the same fucking thing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's uncomfortable and maybe you like get a little bit of their attitude, but then they just like they're also never really satisfied and always just absorbed with their own thing and never giving to you anyway. So it's kind of the fucking same.
Yep. No notes. Exactly. And I feel like I'm personally in a space where I'm reevaluating a lot of my, I mean, whatever, I have been for years and we've heard about it every week on this podcast, but I feel like, I feel like it's never ending. And
What are you
I'm
reevaluating? You haven't even said what it is. What are you reevaluating?
just the people pleaser tendencies. Like we've been
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about, the tendency to jump in and make things comfortable at a party or whatever. All these trends that I bring up every week that I'm working on. And like,
Same, bro. Same.
I think it's crystal. I think I'm close to an epiphany where like it all crystallizes and then I'm different. I really feel like
Cool.
I'm edging right now. And I
Oh,
feel like this episode, that's the end. Basically, that's where I'm coming from this whole episode. Like I am coming from a place of like I'm
Crystal.
so sick of being that people
Yeah.
pleaser person and I'm listening to these DMs
Nice.
and I'm like, yeah, there's three sides to every story and yeah, we can have empathy for the other person and yeah, this and yeah, that. And also like, fuck it. Like, we got to stop at some point. We got to stop just overextending for these negative takers. And so
Yeah.
that's my crystal that I'm
That is your
pooping
crystal.
out here and now.
Oh.
And yeah, it's like kind of hurts, but
Oh,
the end
wow.
product is good.
The metaphor was so
It's
took
a pretty
such a
good metaphor,
turn.
isn't it? It's
Oh,
pretty
I don't
good.
know. I
Well,
the
because it's
pooping it
uncomfortable.
out. The
Because
pooping
it's
it out just but
pooping
why are
out a
you pooping the
crystal.
but why are you pooping a
Because
crystal? Is
it's
that how they're made?
uncomfortable. Because it's
Okay.
uncomfortable to break the people pleasing, and but what's on the other side is a crystal
But it's covered in
beauty.
poop and you're gonna have to wash it
You're
first.
gonna have to wash it.
It's not
You're
that
gonna
good at
have to
first,
wash
but
it
in the center is a hard um
right in the center.
light reflecting
It
gem.
it does reflect light. It does do
But when
that.
it first comes out, it's gonna be covered in poop.
It's gonna be a little poopy, and you're gonna be like confused about it. And don't worry, because me too. And you're gonna come back to this podcast, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about
Dude,
every
I
step of
agree.
wiping off that poop. We're gonna
Yeah.
get through it together and get to the crystal.
I think I'm crystallizing.
I think you are too. I see that in you.
Okay, okay. I literally think this podcast helps us crystallize.
I do too. I do
Literally,
too.
these fucking DMs with all these little inane, petty, everyday, relatable bullshits. And it just like brings up, yeah, you get to let loose all your feelings without having a bias. I mean, I'm sure we have bias, but like just being like, yeah, this is fucking annoying. It's
Yeah.
annoying. Why do we
I
do
wish I could
this?
yell it in my own life, so I'm going to yell it
I
about these
know.
other people's lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's an important reminder to the listeners that like we're just two guys pooping out crystals. Like we're probably projecting our own stuff. We're just like fed up with everything
Yeah.
like you are, but it's easier for us to say when it's not our situation, it's yours. So take it all with a grain of
Yeah.
salt.
I mean, I've always said like if I'm yelling and emphatic, it is because it's something I've really struggled with. Like I'm yelling
Mm-hmm.
at me. I'm
Yep.
so mad at me putting up with this thing you're describing.
Yeah,
Totally. You know?
totally.
If you're like if you write in a story that's like, "Oh, I'm a lobster farmer and all my best friends are always stealing lobsters and lying to me about it." It's like nothing about this, none of that hits on anything I relate to really. I'm not going to get fired up about it. You
True.
know, I'll be talking like this. I'll be like, I don't know, da, da, da. But if we're yelling, we're mad. It's because I
You hit
feel
us where it
you.
hurts. You hit us
Yeah,
where it
in the
hurts. Yeah.
butt where the crystal's
Where
coming
the
out.
where the crystal is forming and it's really sensitive right now. It's like really It's like, don't
Yep.
touch it. It's really sensitive.
Don't touch it. I know people are trying to touch that part, but
It's
don't.
kind of hot. It's like, you don't want to go there. But we went there today.
I used to always describe like a fresh poop as like steaming hot.
Yeah.
And then people would always be like, why do you keep saying that? And I was like, and they were like, why you always describe it as hot? And I'm like, they just are. That's like the first thing you learn when you're trying to track bears. It's like you have to look at their stool and see if it's hot or not to know how long it's been there.
True. Yeah, I agree. I would never question you on that.
Okay, I feel like I've been questioned on that a lot.
I
And I'm
mean,
like,
think about like taking a dog out for a walk and
it steams.
think about exactly doing it in the winter when the poop is hot, but then as soon as it hits the icy cold Chicago
A little
ground,
sizzle.
there's a little there's a little chemical reaction going
Oh,
on. That's how you know it's
really?
hot. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I feel like people have really made me feel like a fool.
No, you should never. You should never. You're a beautiful crystal, and all of the poop is wiped off of you, and you're just shining here today. I can't believe how long we've taken this metaphor, but I could go on if you wanted to, or I
No,
could
I
say
don't.
goodbye.
I don't want to.
Okay. Thanks
Okay,
for crystallizing with us.
you're welcome. Bye.